Hello, hello. Today we're going to be completely transforming this client of mine. We have some pink left over from last time and we have a grown-in root, but we're going to go for a quad placement. So it's going to be color blocked and we're going to start by lifting her root. When I lighten, I like to use Danger Jones lightener, and I like to use 25 volume when it comes to the scalp on most of my clients. Sometimes I will do 20 volume, but 25 seems to be my lucky number. When I'm applying my lightener, I take very thin sections and I make sure that I saturate completely. If you don't saturate enough, the lightener will dry out and then you won't get as good of a lift. Taking thin sections also makes sure that you're saturating the full piece of hair instead of having hollow spots or an uneven lift. The reason why I love Danger Jones lightener is because you can get up to 9 levels of lift, but it's also super nourishing for being a lightener. It has bonder in it, and it also has seaweed, which makes it less irritating on the scalp. I have to say, a lot of my clients have stopped complaining about the itchiness of the lightener on their scalp, and I personally have noticed a difference. Even if I get some on my arm, I'm not having to wipe it off as instantly as I normally would. It's not bothering me as much. Of course, you don't need to use Danger Jones products to create the look that I'm creating, but there's a reason that I use these products. I do think they are the best on the market, and I highly recommend them if you don't have them already. As you can see, I'm going to continue taking my small sections, and I'm only painting the root. I'm not touching the pink just yet. We're going to deal with that after I have all of the root applied. You might be wondering why I'm flipping the hair up and painting my way down. Sometimes I'll start at the bottom of my section with lightener. In this case, it doesn't really matter because while I'm still keeping the lightener off of the ends, I will be putting color remover on the ends after I'm done putting everything on. So I'm not concerned about any product getting onto the other pieces of hair. If I was being more careful about it, I would be starting closer to her ear or even in the back of her head, and then working my way up to keep my sections neater. It really depends on the client for me. Sometimes I will start in a completely different area on one person than I will on another. This client's been my client for quite a while, so I know how she's going to lift, and again, I know I'm going to be putting color remover on the rest of her hair, so I'm not concerned about applying it in the way that I'm applying it right now. One thing about doing hair is there are many different ways you can do things to reach the same result. It's just personal preference. My one thing I will say is I am always very careful not to overlap no matter which direction I am painting in. And as you can see, after I finish applying this piece here, I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off of the little strands that the lightener did get on. You just want to be very mindful when you're working with lightener. We don't want to cause any unnecessary damage or breakage, especially when you're near the face. Those little baby hairs in the front will break off a lot easier, and so you want to make sure that you're not overlapping when you don't need to. Now, I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but oftentimes when I'm applying the lightener or even hair color, I'll have color on one side of my brush. I'll apply that color, and before I dip my brush back into the bowl, I'm actually flipping my brush around and applying with the product on the other side of the brush. This is reducing the amount of times I'm dipping into my bowl, and it just kind of is an efficiency thing, and as well as helping you saturate. We're just going to finish applying her root and then we'll jump ahead to when it's processed for a little while. So here we are, her root is lifting very nicely, you can see, and now we have mixed up our color remover. This is Danger Jones color remover, 1 to 3 with 5 volume. I really love this color remover for removing pinks especially. You'll notice that it'll pretty much turn right back to blonde. I'm going to go ahead and just saturate the ends. It's okay if this touches the lightener, it's not going to harm anything. So I'm gonna go right up into the root that I have already applied, and then I'm gonna make sure that I'm very, very nicely saturating it because this is going to ensure that it fully removes and leaves no little splotches. This color remover is very gentle, it's very nourishing, and I highly recommend it for removing colors like this. Now, as you can see, I had painted the root and flipped the hair upward before. Now, when I'm painting the ends, I'm going to pull that hair down. This just keeps everything nice and neat, and to me, it just makes a lot of sense in my mind and keeps it organized. You'll see me painting with my brush moving side to side. This really helps to saturate the hair because you're rolling that hair, separating it, and pushing that product in. It'll actually take you less movements doing it this way than just painting on the surface vertically. If you try the side to side motion, you'll notice it'll actually increase your speed a little bit, allowing for better saturation as well. If you look back at where I first started, it's only been a few seconds and you can tell that that pink is coming right out. You can also see that her root is lifting very nicely. I'm lucky and she's about a level 7, so I don't have trouble lifting her ever. I almost never have to tone her either. So I know that by the time I'm done applying this color remover, she's probably gonna be ready within maybe like 5 to 10 minutes. Now you can see me going in at the back. We're just, again, going to fully saturate. I'm kind of taking more of a brick-laid sectioning with this. It's not too intentional. I just want to make sure that I'm really getting everything and I'm covering it all. We're going to get it all out. That way we have a nice, fresh, even canvas. And I feel like sectioning it like this just makes it simple and efficient as well. If you haven't noticed yet, I've left the ends out intentionally because those are already a lot lighter. They have less pigment in them, and therefore I know that the color remover won't have to sit as long on those pieces. So I'm going to do that at the very end. That way it doesn't have to process longer than necessary. You want to make sure every single thing that you're doing on your client's head is going to better their hair, or do it at least in the best way possible. So you want to make sure you're doing it in a healthy way and an efficient way. And so we're just going to go ahead and continue applying this color remover, working our way up the head until we have it on everything.
One thing I also want to mention is this color remover is only for semi-permanent colors. If you were trying to remove an oxidative color like a permanent color, then I would not use this color remover. I would use lightener or another color remover that is intended for oxidative colors.
This is what she looked like just before we went to rinse her, and I toned her root only with 901 with Danger Jones gloss toners. We also used the K18 peptide prep shampoo and a K18 mask to prep her hair before we applied the Vivid. We're going to go in with vertical sectioning for this color block, and I like to take big, thick sections for this. This is our burnt orange formula. So we have Burnout, which is orange. We have a little bit of Empire, which is green, and a little bit of Diablo, which is red. We wanted something a little deeper and a little muted for this orange. After you see me mix it up, you can tell it's the perfect tone. So first of all, I'm going to start with the Danger Jones Gloss Toner. This is 7-8. It's a very beautiful, balanced milk chocolate. Our colors we're doing are a light chocolate, a platinum blonde, and the burnt orange that you saw me mix earlier. For these color blocks, I'm going to start at the bottom and paint my way up. This is going to help me keep my section very clean because with color blocking, you don't want to move too far into your other sections. And I'm going to go ahead and paint on my hand, using my hand as a cushion. That way I don't have to worry about it touching anything else. I'm going to use my fingers to get a little bit closer to the scalp and make sure that I'm saturating up there. I'm also going to use my comb. This is just small movements. That way I can make sure I'm saturating without getting anything into the other sections. Working clean with color blocking is the biggest thing you can do to help yourself. And as you can see, I'm moving side to side to really saturate that strand going down. Sometimes I'll go ahead and comb it through. I just want to make sure that there's going to be no hollow spots, especially when you're going from platinum to a deeper color. I don't need to fill this at all. We're going for just like a soft chocolate, but I do want to make sure I'm saturating it enough to have no splotchiness. If you have tangles in the hair and you apply color over them, it's not really going to saturate fully, so you want to make sure you're combing the hair out really well and really evenly distributing your color. Now you'll see me pull the hair down and kind of outline the section a little bit. Sometimes I'll do this, sometimes I won't. In this case I wanted to. It just made me feel like it was going to be a little more organized. It's kind of just like coloring inside of the lines. And then you'll see me go ahead and clean up that section a little bit. You want to make sure there's no random little strands there. If you start off your color block with a fresh canvas and you are in full control, you want to make sure it's as clean as possible because when you go to touch this up, it's going to make it a lot easier. So So we're gonna finish outlining, and then we're going to just pull the hair down and continue to saturate just like I did on that very first section. Sometimes I'll take the ends that are kind of sticking out of the section and I'll flip them over to the other side of the head. That way they're completely out of the way. And this front area is going to be a nice chocolate piece for her. So if you'll notice, I'm gonna go ahead and paint towards her face. That way I can just make sure I'm not going anywhere too close to the color block section next to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start from the bottom and work my way up again. I'm gonna outline around her face and make sure that I'm covering everything. But I like to kind of feather it away from their face as I'm applying it. That way we don't get any harsh lines. If there are harsh lines, I try to go in with a color remover as soon as possible to ensure that we're not leaving with stains. As I apply around the face and over the ear, I'm gonna use my hand as a cushion. That way I'm not just painting her. Sometimes I'll put a foil down there just to keep it clean. In this case, I chose not to do that. I'm just gonna make sure I'm fully saturating it, keeping it neat, and you'll see me moving it away from her face and setting it right on my backwards bib. I love a backwards bib. These are by Fremar and they're biodegradable. They really keep everything nice and neat and keep the cape clean. I can't stand when my cape has color on it because then I just feel like somehow it's going to get on my client. So I highly recommend these, and no, this is not sponsored. We're gonna go ahead and continue to saturate and work our way up her head. I had to go get a little bit more. Our gloss toners last for about an hour without deactivating, but they're very easy to overmix, so I prefer to do smaller batches and just go ahead and mix more instead of wasting my glosses. I love how nourishing these glosses are, by the way, and they also last really, really well. I feel like they don't fade too quickly, they give a beautiful tone, they're reflective, and they make the hair feel amazing. As you can see, we're reaching the top of her head. We're gonna go ahead and make sure we're saturating really nicely. We're gonna continue to paint down, make sure we're very nicely outlined, and we're gonna keep it nice and neat as we lay it down. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off my hands to make sure that I'm not gonna transfer any of this color onto the next section. And if you see here, I actually took that backwards bib and I put it over the section that I put the gloss toner on because it's gonna keep that from touching the orange section, and it just keeps it nice and out of the way. I started at the bottom of the section again. This is again just to keep it nice and neat. I'm gonna go in and make sure I'm really saturating it. This is a semi-permanent color. And technically this is not supposed to be shampooed out. I'm only going to focus on shampooing out where the gloss toners are, and you'll see how I do that at the end. I'm going to utilize that backwards bib again during that process. With semi-permanents, you do want to make sure you're fully saturating. These do not get mixed with any developer, so this is just that orange you saw me mix up straight out of the bowl. Did not add anything else to it. Now you'll see me pull this down, and then again, you're going to see me paint pulling away from that section next to it. We're gonna outline. I really like to pull the hair taut. It's gonna give you a lot of control. And again, we're gonna go away from that section next to it. I'm gonna flip it up, saturate it that way. We're just outlining, making sure that we're getting color on everything, but not getting into the sections next to it. Can you see how this really just creates a very easy outline for you to follow? Color blocking doesn't have to be as intimidating as it seems. You really just have to work cleanly, pay attention, and take your time. I find that the sectioning of the entire process is the longest part, but the end result is so worth it. I think a color block is one of the most satisfying things I could put on a client. Now, all of the Danger Jones products are very, very nice on the hair. They're nourishing, they've got bonders in them, they're just really meant to make the hair feel the best that it can. Our semi-permanents are no different. So these are actually conditioner based, and there's a beautiful range of colors. You can mix them, you can use them straight out of the tube, whatever you want to do. But I love the way that they go on the hair, I love how long they last, and I love the way they make the hair feel. You can tell that the color just spreads really easily and it's easy to saturate with. Now I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys watch me paint this. Pay attention to the way that my brush is moving and the directions I'm going in. Every movement that I'm making with my brush is intentional, and it helps me with saturation and it helps me with staying neat. What's also nice about the Danger Jones semi-permanents is you can't overwork them, so you'll see me really working this into the hair, but you can tell that the pigment's still there, it's not turning white or losing its tone. All right, so we're finishing saturating the top of her head right there, and then I'm gonna go ahead with my backwards bib and fold everything out of the way and leave those blonde pieces out. This is how it's gonna look while she's processing, and that's after we shampooed. Look at how pretty that looks. I cannot wait to blow dry her. Now, when I style my clients, I always blow them out straight unless they want to leave with their natural texture. I'll show them what their color looks like, and then I always give them the option of being styled. So a lot of my clients like to have curls. I'll show them the hair, that way they know I'm not hiding anything, and then we'll go in and we'll do curls. There's something so satisfying about round brushing these sections side by side though. The way they line up is just so cool. When I style, I like to use the K18 Heat Bounce, and that's my favorite heat protectant. It's actually brand new. It's a leave-in conditioner, it detangles, and it makes the hair feel amazing. And I also use 7 hair care products, so depending on the client, I will choose a product from them. I love the Relax Serum, it's one of my favorites. The Bond Serum is amazing. If you haven't checked out 7 Hair Care, I highly recommend it. But between 7 Hair Care and K18 Hair, I really don't use many other products. Sometimes I'll throw in some IGK, but I really love using products that nourish the hair, that don't have too many crazy ingredients, and that have a ton of benefits. So just a little behind the scenes on that. One thing you might notice is I don't shut off my blow dryer and I don't set my blow dryer down when I'm sectioning the hair. I've learned how to use every single finger on my hand. So half the time I will be sectioning with my pinky finger. I will use my other fingers to, move the clip around or section the hair. I think doing little things like this and teaching yourself how to be efficient in that way make you move so much faster. So watch, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the clip down. I'm gonna use the other fingers and we're just gonna go ahead and round brush. It's something that takes a little bit of time to learn, but once you get it down, you'll have that muscle memory and it'll save you so much time. I actually learned this while I was assisting somebody, and I would have to blow dry side by side with them. We would go really fast. We wouldn't have any time to section, and as high pressure as it was at the time, it actually taught me a lot of really cool skills, and I think this is a tiny one that actually makes a big difference. I'm all about efficiency, and your clients are too. Nobody wants to sit there for longer than they need to. It's good to take your time and be intentional and not rush, but if you can do little things to move the service along, your clients will really appreciate that. And not to mention, time is money, so it really does pay off for both you and the client. This is what it looked like straight. And then this is what it looked like curled. I hope you guys like this tutorial, and if you have any questions or specific requests, please reach out. I do one-on-one coaching and I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you, bye.